Right now, somewhere in your kitchen, there is food you are not eating, and yet some part of your brain is thinking about it anyway. Maybe it's the leftover cake on the counter. Maybe it's the bag of chips in the cabinet you told yourself you wouldn't open. You are not hungry. You ate a few hours ago. Your body has more than enough energy stored to survive for weeks without a single bite. And still, your brain keeps circling back to it. Here is the strange truth nobody tells you. Your body still thinks you are starving. Not metaphorically, biologically. Right now, today, in a world with grocery stores on every corner, your brain is running survival software designed for a world where the next meal was never guaranteed. This is not a flaw. This is the most successful survival mechanism your species ever developed, and it has not received the update it desperately needs. For the vast majority of human existence, calories were not abundant. They were rare, unpredictable, and often required enormous physical effort to obtain. A successful hunt might mean food for days. A failed one might mean hunger for weeks. Dr. Daniel Lieberman, an evolutionary biologist at Harvard University, has spent decades studying how the human body evolved in response to scarcity. His research keeps arriving at the same conclusion. Every system in your body was shaped by an environment where the biggest threat was not too much food. It was not enough, so evolution built something remarkable. A brain that rewards you intensely for finding and consuming calorie-dense food. Sugar, fat, salt. These were rare in the ancestral environment. A piece of ripe fruit was a gift. An animal killed for fat and protein was a triumph. Your brain learned to treat these foods as something close to sacred. Not because they were unhealthy, because finding them meant survival. Think about the last time you smelled fresh bread baking, or walked past a restaurant with the windows fogged from the grill inside. Something in your chest responded before your conscious mind even registered what was happening. That is not a modern weakness. That is 600,000 years of finely tuned machinery, doing exactly what it was built to do. The problem is the world changed faster than your biology could keep up. For nearly the entire history of your species, it was almost impossible to overeat sugar, fat, and salt simply because they were so difficult to find in concentrated form. You could eat as much fruit as you wanted, and it would never come close to the sugar density of a candy bar. Evolution never had to build an off switch for these cravings, because the environment itself provided the limit. Scarcity was the safety mechanism. Then, within the blink of an evolutionary eye, humans invented refined sugar, processed flour, and industrial food production. Suddenly, the foods your brain was specifically wired to crave became cheap, constant, and engineered to be as intensely rewarding as biologically possible. Your ancient reward system did not get weaker. It got exploited. Dr. Kelly Brownell has documented how modern processed foods are deliberately engineered to hit what researchers call the bliss point, the precise combination of sugar, fat, and salt that maximizes the reward response in your brain, beyond anything that exists naturally. You are not weak when you struggle to stop eating a bag of chips. You are experiencing a precisely calibrated ancient survival mechanism being deliberately triggered by modern science. But the story goes deeper than just cravings. Consider what happens when you go a few hours without eating. Blood sugar drops slightly. A hormone called ghrelin increases. Your brain begins to prioritize thoughts of food. You might feel irritable, distracted, slightly anxious. This response feels urgent because, for most of human history, it needed to be urgent. A body that ignored hunger signals risked depletion in an environment where finding the next meal was never guaranteed. Today, that same urgent signal fires when you are sitting at a desk, fully capable of eating again within minutes. The signal has not changed. The context around it has changed completely. Dr. Sandra Amott, a neuroscientist who studies the brain's regulation of body weight, has highlighted something counterintuitive. Your body does not simply track how much you have eaten today. It maintains what researchers call a set point, an internally defended weight range your brain actively works to protect. When you try to eat significantly less than your body expects, your brain does not interpret this as a deliberate health choice. It interprets it as a famine, and it responds the way it has responded to famines for hundreds of thousands of years. It slows your metabolism. It increases hunger signals. This explains why the harder you fight your body's hunger signals through sheer willpower, the harder your ancient survival system fights back. Now think about something else. Why does stress make some people crave sugar intensely? Dr. Robert Sapolsky's research on stress physiology offers a clue. When your body perceives a threat, whether it is genuine danger or a stressful email, it activates the same ancient stress response. In the ancestral environment, stress almost always meant physical danger, requiring intense energy expenditure. Your body's logical response is to crave quick, available energy. This made sense when stress meant an actual emergency requiring physical action. But modern stress rarely requires physical action at all. Yet your body still floods you with the same ancient signal. because it cannot distinguish between a predator and a difficult deadline. Here is where the story becomes genuinely strange. Your body does not just think you might starve tomorrow. It still behaves as though it does not know with certainty that your next meal is guaranteed, regardless of how many times you have proven otherwise. This single mismatch helps explain the intrusive thoughts about food that arise even when you are not hungry, the disproportionate guilt many people feel around eating, the exhausting cycle of restriction and overeating, not because people lack discipline, but because they are fighting an evolutionary mismatch with willpower alone. Researchers studying what is called the deprivation effect have found something consistent. When access to a food becomes restricted, the brain's reward circuitry actually increases its response to that food, not decreases it. This made sense in the ancestral environment. If a once reliable food source became unavailable, your ancestors needed their brain to prioritize finding alternatives, not give up. This is precisely why restricting a food often leads to thinking about it more obsessively, eventually breaking the restriction and consuming more than you would have without restricting it in the first place. Dr. Amott suggests that rather than fighting this response through restriction, lasting change tends to come from working alongside these ancient systems. Removing artificial scarcity tends to quiet the alarm system over time once it no longer perceives an active threat. Think now about why humans, across every culture on Earth, treat food as something far more significant than mere fuel. For your ancestors, sharing food represented one of the deepest expressions of trust and cooperation. Choosing to share a hard-won meal signaled extraordinary social investment, the kind that built alliances and created the cooperative bonds that allowed vulnerable, slow-moving primates to survive. This explains why sharing a meal still carries such powerful emotional weight today, even in a world where food scarcity is no longer the universal threat it once was. Right now, as you consider all of this, return to that food sitting in your kitchen. The pull you feel toward it is not random. It is not weakness, nor evidence of some uniquely modern failing. It is the visible trace of one of the most successful survival systems ever produced by evolution, a system so effective it kept your ancestors alive through famines and harsh winters that would have eliminated any species less equipped to prioritize food acquisition. That system has not failed you. It has succeeded so completely that it now persists unchanged in a world it was never designed to navigate. Understanding this will not silence the craving entirely, but it can change your relationship with it, transforming shame into recognition. Shame around eating has never produced lasting positive change. If anything, shame itself activates stress responses that increase cravings for exactly the foods being avoided. Understanding the biology, paired with self-compassion, consistently produces better outcomes than willpower and guilt ever have. So the next time you find yourself staring at food you do not technically need, remember what is actually happening beneath the surface. You are experiencing one of the most successful survival systems ever built, faithfully protecting you from a famine that for you, specifically in this moment, does not exist. Right now, somewhere in your kitchen, there is food you are not eating, and your body, ancient, vigilant, and still convinced that scarcity could return at any moment, is simply doing exactly what it was built to do. It is still trying to keep you alive. It just does not know yet that, this time, you were never actually starving at all.